Hey, good afternoon, Marty Wolf. How are you doing today?
Joe Redding, another exciting podcast. I'm looking forward to this one, as I do with all of them. But
Yeah.
I have a son named Cory, so I'm real excited to be meeting Cory on this call.
Awesome. Yeah, so we are going to be discussing the business and technology behind innovative clamping, gripping, and work holding devices with Cory Raizor, the business development manager at Schunk USA, which is a trusted partner to PSA Systems. For those of you that are not familiar with Schunk, they are a leading global manufacturer of a wide variety of standard and custom components that, when assembled and integrated together, deliver a high quality, reliable gripping and work holding solution that seamlessly integrates with robotic handling, assembly machines, and material removal systems. So Cory is a professional sales leader with nearly 10 years experience in industrial automation, sales, as an advocate for robotics and automation. He helps raise awareness to the benefits and necessities of automation in U.S. manufacturing, which is really big nowadays. His goal to empower manufacturers to begin their automation journey and assist in connecting them with partners to help solve their unique challenges is his main goal. So Cory also holds a BS in mechanical engineering from Purdue University. So he kind of knows his stuff, Marty. So to learn more about Schunk, please visit their website at www.schunk.com and be sure to follow Cory and Schunk on their respective LinkedIn pages. So hey Cory, how you doing this morning? Or this
Hey, Joe,
afternoon
I'm doing
rather?
well. Yeah, thank you for the wonderful introduction and for having me on your podcast today. You know, I had the pleasure of kind of catching a couple previous episodes, and you guys have a lot of really big names in the industry join your show. So I'm very, very proud to be here, and I'm looking forward to a interesting discussion.
Yeah, so are we. So thank you for taking time out of your day. I'm sure you're pretty busy with the business
Absolutely.
development side of Schunk and what you have to do on a daily. So thank you for taking time to spend
Yep,
with
for sure.
Marty and I. So let's get into this, and let's just learn little bit more about yourself, Cory. Like who you are, how you got into the industry, the path that you've taken into your career, just to learn a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I grew up in an environment where I was not very well exposed to technology and manufacturing. I did not consider myself a tech geek when I was growing up, even though I was. I didn't know it, right?
Hmm.
I think at that time my high school, and I don't want to knock them too bad, but they did not have a lot of exposure and advocacy and things like that to manufacturing. And so, when I was younger, not really having anybody else in that space that I could learn from, I thought manufacturing and automation was automotive, purely automotive. And I'm personally speaking, I'm not a big car guy, so I didn't think that was for me. But simultaneously, Mythbusters was my show. So was How It's Made, Dirty Jobs, all those things. And then later on, I realized, oh no, I am into tech. I'm just not into cars.
Right.
So, being good at math and physics, that kind of led me down the path of pursuing engineering, and then getting a few other events that exposed me to automated manufacturing, and particularly like high-speed automated production, just kind of opened my eyes to like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. This is toys for technical tinkerers, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And again, not really thinking that I was technical. I've just sort of lucked in to where I'm at today and followed a lot of really great mentors in the industry, and have been very, very fortunate to work closely with a lot of the largest leaders in the industry at this point.
Yeah, so you think about not being techie as you were
Hmm.
younger, but you also had the desire to go to Purdue
Yeah.
University as a postgraduate, right? And then learn mechanical engineering. So something had to be in your mind and in your
Yep.
gut that says, I want to design things. I want to be a part of making things, cool stuff, right? So is that why
Absolutely.
you really went into the mechanical aspect of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, you know, I kind of, like, again, going back to the good mentors I had, I was good at math and physics. And as a high school student at that time, faced with the daunting question of what do you want to do with the rest of your life, I took suggestions from a lot of people, and someone said, "Yeah, you're an engineer, right?" And of course, his alma mater was Purdue, so, so he kind of guided me.
Well,
And it, like I said, I lucked out because I do think it was a really, really great fit, and I've had a blast in everything I've done thus far, through various internships and things like that. Like every little step of my journey sort of further validated that, okay, this guy saw something I didn't quite see, but it worked out well.
yeah. Yeah, I wasn't really techie growing up either. I mean, I love cars. I love fast cars,
Yeah.
and I kind of grew up working at a country club, so I got to see a lot of fast cars and really cool cars,
Oh,
growing up
yeah.
as I was a kid. But I never really was in that tech environment either, and I didn't go to school for any engineering. I went for like business,
Yeah.
just business administration. Was able to go to college on a golf scholarship, so I just learned sales. So I learned sales, and I'm in sales and business
Yep.
development. You went to mechanical engineering, and now you're in sales. So how does that translate to you? You're into mechanical engineering. You get out there, and I'm sure you had some early careers that were involved in mechanical engineering and such. How did
Yep.
that parlay into becoming customer forward, to your partners, to your end users, being a face of an organization?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always, I've always been a pretty social person, and even right out of the gate, I studied engineering, but enjoyed talking to people, enjoyed working with people, and really, I got into automation sales as my first role out of college, and again, it just was that vicious cycle of reaffirming, okay, I don't go to the same desk every day. I get to see a ton of really cool things. I'm sure many people have said it thus far, but my job is the show I grew up watching of how it's made, and it was just so damn fun. It it really taught me that this is what I want to do and where I like to be. So I got into working with customers. Kind of dove into a distributor role first, doing automation components, and that parlayed into a couple different well-known manufacturers in the industry that I've had the pleasure of working for at this point.
Yeah. So, well, let's talk a little bit more then about Schunk, right? So now
Yeah,
you're at Schunk and you're the business development manager, right? And this
yep,
is your second stint at Schunk,
it
correctly?
is. It is. They
Yeah.
couldn't keep me away.
Yeah. Couldn't keep you away. Now, so you left for a short hiatus and you came back.
Yep.
What drew you back to
You know,
get back to Schunk?
yeah, it's a great company, and actually, when I was in that distribution period of my career, one of the lines that we sold was Schunk. And it was probably the line that I had the most success with, I had the most fun with. I mean, it's robotic tools. What could be cooler, right?
Mm.
And then kind of an opening in that area came up, and I was pretty sure I loved the company and loved the people. And when I joined, it was again 100% validated. So when I did take that hiatus from Schunk, it was a really, really tough choice.
Mm.
Um, but I knew that the people I worked with, the company and the products that we got involved in, and the mission of the company was just phenomenal. That I really kind of felt the calling to come back, and again leaving where I was, which I'm sure we'll talk about as well, was another really, really tough choice. I've been blessed with tough choices, man.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you. I have too, in my life. So yeah, so let's just talk about that since you brought it up. Like, so you left Schunk and you went on this hiatus. Like, let's talk about where you went and your job function at that particular company.
I did. So I carried a couple different roles at Schunk, and started to get the itch that I really wanted to work with a robot OEM. And the old adage was, if you're going to work in the space, work with the best. And I think even a previous guest of yours, Mr. Dick Motley, said the phrase "the 800-pound gorilla" or something in the room is FANUC. So I took a short hiatus where I had left Schunk, and I went to FANUC for nearly 2 years, where I worked for phenomenal man and mentor Dick Motley. Another, like I said, he was a previous guest of your podcast. And my role with them was in their authorized systems integrator program. So it was advocating for our partners, helping them stay engaged in the organization and aligned with all the resources available to them, and just better understanding what they want to do and how we could help grow their business. So yeah, a lot of fun. It was a phenomenal organization. Both were, and like I said, it was a tough choice either way.
Yeah, they're a great partner of ours, and certainly Dick Motley. What you couldn't have asked for a better mentor and boss than Dick. Well, he was a great guest on our show, was he not, Marty? We had a great time with him.
He was great. And it was nice that he visited us at PSA. That's a few months ago, so I got to see him in person and shake his hand. It was a delight. He's obviously a smart individual, but he's a fine human being.
So you learned then at FANUC, working for their partner program, that then kind of parlayed into an opening came up at Schunk, and very similar type of roles now at business development, because you're trying to nurture a partner relationship. Is that correct?
That's absolutely right. So in my role today with Schunk, I have kind of two facets that I do. First and foremost is Schunk has started a partnership program. We're still somewhat in the infancy stage of it. We started it about 4 or 5 years ago, it still is in that phase where a lot of infrastructure needed to be built, a lot of policy needed to be written, a lot of philosophy of how we're going to treat our partners and how we're going to work with the brightest people out there in the industry, the real experts, and how are we going to bring them value that goes beyond just, hey, we sell you some parts and we're happy about that, and if we can, we bring you some work and hopefully you're happy about that, and really making things a deeper relationship than that.
Yeah, so good. So, and what is that? What's that program look like? How is it structured today, and where do you see it going into the future?
Yeah, so it's called the Blue Level Partner Program. That's a name we've used a couple times within Schunk. So there's some carryover there with our distribution channel as well. My responsibility is specifically for the system integrators portion of that. And like I said, today the structure is about bringing value to our partners, making sure that it is going beyond that. But where we want to go tomorrow is to increase that sphere, the number of partners we work with. We are still quite small, relatively small today. But I have a really good picture of where I want things to go and how important I want Schunk to be in nurturing the relationships between us and those partners. And it's not just about Schunk. It is about finding the best experts out there from an integrator standpoint, including you guys at PSA, and understanding what you guys do really well and what you like to do, and then pairing that and advocating for you guys as I can.
Yeah, great. So Schunk is a global company, right?
We are.
You're a member, and you're part of the Schunk USA team.
Yep.
Does the global aspect, does that help, or is you more autonomous than what it seems to be for a global company? Because some have very disconnected values and culture and things of that nature. And what's it like from Schunk USA as compared to the global aspect?
Yeah, I'd say I don't know if it's an appropriate answer, but we're middle of the road on that front. We do have a lot of ties to our headquarters in Germany, but at the same time, Schunk USA is an autonomous. It's a subsidiary, but but we do have a lot of autonomy. We do have a lot of people and resources that we can do a lot of things, including some product development, including some custom solutions and things like that here in the U.S.
Yeah. So
Can I ask a question, Joe?
Yeah, sure. Go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
Marty. Yeah.
So, Cory, I'm thinking in terms of the blue level partner program, you want to build these relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Would I be okay in asking you if there was something specific that you could share with us to say, ooh, an integrator would really be interested in our ability to do this? Is that a fair question?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the program, I mean, as much as I hate to draw likeness to where I was, I learned a lot from Fanuc's Authorized System Integrator program. And I think without a doubt, many would agree that it is probably the premier partnership program in the industry of robotics. There's a lot of others, and there's a lot of other people that do really well. But that's a force to be reckoned with, and I learned a lot about how they operated and what value they brought to their partners. So as I'm talking to partners and prospective partners for the Schunk Blue Level Partnership today, there's a lot of consistent messages. It's that we're creating a community of like-minded innovators and entrepreneurs. We're bringing these people together to share best practices, ideas, and innovations. From a company standpoint, we offer them some additional resources, training, things like that, to make their team more effective and more comfortable with, I'm going to say, end-of-arm tooling, but that's not all Schunk does. And also a lot of co-marketing activities that we'll do to promote their company and help them grow and get some exposure as well.
Excellent. Thanks. Appreciate it. Okay,
yeah,
Joe.
Of course.
And so expand on that a little bit more. Like, what is Schunk looking for in a partner?
Yeah.
So like in reverse there.
Sorry, you cut out there at the end.
That's okay. Kind of like just what we would expect to get from Schunk out of it. What would Schunk expect to get from a partner?
Yeah, I mean we're looking for that really two-way conversation partnership where it's not just we occasionally talk about applications that you guys might be working on, and I'm sure we'll talk more about it, but we work in a lot of end-of-arm tools. It's not just sizing grippers or sizing tool changers and thanks for the conversation. It's let's talk about what's coming in the pipeline, and I understand you guys are bidding on A, B, C, D. Have you also heard that this other project is kind of in the works on that front? So really what we're looking for are, I guess, to come back and actually answer your question, what we're looking for are partners that we have a good relationship with already. We've done some business with, and people that are really valuing two-way communication, providing feedback. So we always try to manufacture the best solutions, and we think we have some great things, and we do. But at the end of the day, you guys as systems integrators, you're the ones that are really getting in the trenches and implementing a lot of the hardware and components, and you guys will be the best person to tell us, hey, here's what you guys really ought to switch or start doing, and potentially here's some ways we can work with you on that.
Yeah, I see that as I'm sorry, Joe. I see that as a strategic partnership.
Absolutely.
Maybe you're not calling it that, but as I'm sitting here listening to what you're saying, that's a strategic relationship.
Absolutely.
There's give and take, and but it's a formal give and take. It's just not in passing. It's a strategic relationship. Is it okay I say it that way, Cory?
Certainly. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the times where we're at with many of our partners is, we've had that depth of a relationship before. We may have not been providing all the things that we've planned to, such as co-marketing resources, training resources, but generally speaking, the relationship is to that point. And this program is just a way to
Got
formalize it a little bit more, make it more strategic.
it. Okay, Joe.
Yeah, that's good. And that's important for PSA. We value those strategic partnerships,
Yeah.
and we work towards making those the best that we can as a partner or an integrator. Um, and you guys, you said it, you guys have a lot to offer, not
Mhm.
just in your hardware, but you reach into the industry. You're very well known, so you certainly would make a very win-win situation for a partnership. To that extent, your catalog is huge, right? And 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 it can be daunting at times. So
It can.
I must say we've had the pleasure of working with Shunk's engineering team on a couple of applications, which I was able to sit in on as we're developing some concepts for tooling, work holding. It was one of the very big projects I'm thinking of, and your guys are amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, to go through the catalogs, we're like, what could we possibly use for this? And, oh, hey, think about this, and get the right size, right length. It has the right articulation and actuation. It was so good and refreshing to work with somebody that can navigate through a portfolio of products, right, to actually
Yep.
come up with a solution. And we really value that because it's more than just hardware, right? It's if we can if we can purchase or procure a value added solution that is ready for the needs that we have and work the way we expect, I mean, that's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
Rather not have my guys sitting there trying to go comb through a catalog and then try to grab drawings and read and design something where you have that resource available, and it's very much appreciated.
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack there. I've got a couple anecdotes going on in my head. I've got some other things. The anecdote that I find funny is, we're shifting away, I think, a little bit from printed literature because of some of those issues you mentioned. But I remember, 6 years ago, driving my company car with all my literatures in the back, and the catalog for just the automation portion is this big, and it's like, thank God I've got those in my trunk because I need that traction to to get where I'm going.
Right.
But it can be a little bit of a double-edged sword, but I think we're viewing it the right way. We've got over 13,000 standard part numbers, right?
Yeah.
And that can be daunting, absolutely. But we would always advocate for people, don't spend more than 30 minutes, don't even spend more than 5 minutes trying to find what you're looking for. Call one of us. We've got a range of people, nearly a dozen people in Schunk USA that are there to help size applications, help find what you're looking for, and navigate some of those resources. The flip side of that is, we have all these standard tools, ideally so that whatever your challenge is as a manufacturer, we've kind of got something in our arsenal. We've seen this before and can support you. But if we can't, those same engineers, several of them are dedicated project managers. So just like a product development team, to some extent, just like project managers at a systems integrator, they'll take very custom approaches to challenges and say, okay, one of our components alone can't solve this application. So let's put together an entire end of arm tool. And the value we have is we're approaching integrators and manufacturers and saying, we are not an integrator. Let's be transparent about that. But if your team is so bogged down, if you're finding a hard time, capitalizing on all the projects you're pulling in, great work. The first off, fantastic job. Second off, if we built up that level of trust, can you offload some of that end of arm tool design to us? And like I said, we'll bring in whatever we need, even if it's not necessarily Schunk components.
Right, right. And that was the case for this one big project. It was multiple components, comprised together to make an end of our tool solution, but also some other ancillary devices, to rotate, manipulate the part, regrip. It was just a lot going on. And even into some of the work holding aspect of it. So yeah, it was very challenging, and your guys, they stepped up, and it was awesome. And they provided us with a proposal for a solution, meaning it was here's a solution, not components that need to be put together, but a solution you bolt on and you go. So no, that was absolutely fantastic. So thank you for that. Um, so about the products, we're in a day and age that, a technology age of like Internet of Things,
Yep.
smart tools, AI, things of that nature. What is Schunk doing to address that in your tools that would enable a partner or an end user to maybe collect any data, or do you have anything like that you're coming out with
Yeah,
smart components?
we absolutely do. And it comes down to the trends that I think we've all seen. You guys have certainly mentioned it on previous shows. The widening of the skills gap, the, you know, kind of aging of the technical workforce and all these things. And also with uncertainty kind of in the market right now, the desire to reshore or nearshore. So ultimately, we all have to have really good products. We have to make things really, really flexible and advanced enough so that, we can compete in the global market. So to your point, a lot of the things that Schunk is doing is, you mentioned the Internet of Things. Many of our components, just speaking on the component level today, at the moment, many of them are now able to communicate I/O link and things like that. Great example. This is not out of the automation portfolio. It's more on our work holding, tool holding side. We have a new cutting tool holder, for example, that is providing real-time data feedback on vibrations and cutting resistance, for example, so that an operator can know what's this tool life going to be like. Am I running the proper feeds and speeds? Am I damaging the tool? And when is it time to swap that out?
Yeah,
From a
no, that's smart.
Yeah, from a step forward to address some of the skills and labor challenges. I think every manufacturer from robot OEMs to component level OEMs and of our tool manufacturers, I think we're all looking at the ease of use and lowering that barrier of entry. So a lot of the developments we've been doing in the last couple of years have been application kits, things where it may not be as sophisticated as what a full turnkey system integrator is going to provide, but if you're trying to do a very cookie cutter process, and a great example would be like a 2D, no, maybe that's not a great example because it's still complex, but a 2D picking system, 2D vision picking system. We have an AI solution that incorporates software that we've developed along with the servo gripper, pair that up with a Fanuc CRX or a UR robot, and our AI software has done a lot of simplification and part identification, location, and then path planning for the robot. I don't want to, maybe I shouldn't say it this way, I don't want to claim that's super novel, right? Integrators have been doing vision systems for a long time, but just trying to simplify that as much as you can so that someone who's not super sophisticated with vision systems, not super savvy, could get this kit out of the box and within, one business day be picking parts in a simple application.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
Joe, let me ask on your website, and this is a way of asking, what is your website that you should
Yeah, thank
people
you.
be
It's
looking
it's
at?
www.schunk.com,
Okay.
and it'll direct you to the English version, so /en.
Yeah, I saw that. As a matter of fact, I can't remember what the application, but before I was looking at, you have an application. You talk about AI. There's one section of your website. I can't
Yep.
remember what the application was. So Joe knows I'm kind of like all hipped up on artificial intelligence, and so it was good
Yeah.
to see that. And what you just explained was good. How all that's coming together and really addressing needs. I mean, it's almost we have to do these things to be competitive in the marketplace, right?
We absolutely do. I mean, again, I know you guys are super plugged into it, but the position we as the U.S. find ourselves in manufacturing and our available workforce, automating is not necessarily an option anymore if you want to stay competitive. And I don't mean that to be bleak. But what I will say is that all of us in the industry, all the solution providers, whether it's components, engineering services, integration services, we've got to do everything we can to make sure we make the process easy, we make it painless, and that the folks that are trying it for the first time, it's critical that they have a good experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, Joe.
There's too many times where there's a bad experience, right? Because it's just not as easy as it was touted to be, and it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. But and at the end of the day, that's what integrators like a PSA Systems is all about: is to deliver a robust, easy to use, easy to implement solution that gives them longevity and on that asset for sure.
Yeah. Now, and that's exactly right. I mean, the thing is, whenever we find a manufacturer that's looking to get into it, things are getting easier, but you still don't need to reinvent the wheel yourself, right? There are so many really phenomenal people out there that know how to do these processes, and I have no doubt you guys are more than happy to help everybody succeed.
Yeah, for sure. Marty, anything else?
Well, Joe, we always like to kind of wrap up, if you will, with a success story. And so far, everything you've been saying, I think, is a success story. It's exciting. You're going down the right road. But Joe always likes to ask, a success story. And I like to add to that is to say, well, I think when you talk about a success story, it's going to be the thing that you want people to remember. Other than you're charming and Joe's charming and you guys are good speakers. In addition to that, what do you want people who are listening to the show to remember? Maybe that's a success story you want to share.
Yeah, sure. There's a couple that come to mind. One of them is maybe more relative to the role I'm in now as sort of a national connector of people, if you will, and that's one of our good long-term integrator relationships. Very big organization with multiple facilities across the country, and I think everybody hopes we all communicate very well, internally and externally, and we actually had a situation where we were calling on one of these locations, and I'm trying to be careful not to give away names, so forgive me for being vague, but we were calling on some engineering managers, and they had used a lot of Schunk. They had worked with Schunk. They knew the quality, and they do a lot of phenomenal work as well. But there was one particular piece of technology they had not used from us, which was magnetic grippers. And this is specifically this location. And going back to the idea that nobody really communicates like we hope they do, several of the other locations had used our magnetic grippers before. And so we were able to say, like, hey, totally great. We do think we might have a fit here for this application in our magnetic technology. I'm happy to tell you about it, but first, here's the phone number of your colleagues that have used this. Get their perspective. Don't get me as a sales guy. Get their perspective, and then if it still sounds good, then we'll talk about it some more. I don't want to sell a product. I want to have somebody that's implemented it advocate for it and say, look, this is reliable, and if you implement something like this, you're going to have a happy manufacturer at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Well,
Cory, other people to connect with you, Cory, is LinkedIn a good place to find you?
Yep, LinkedIn is great. I'm on LinkedIn. Anyone's also always welcome to email me. It's cory.raizor@us.schunk.com. I'm sure you'll throw that in the notes because the spelling will be a little hard to predict.
We absolutely will. And just one other thing before we break out, I know there's some trade shows that are coming up,
Yeah.
and I certainly want to get you to plug those because if they're out and about, Automate's just right around the corner. Can you share some information on that, where you're going to be
Yeah,
and how they can
absolutely.
find you?
And thank you. Yeah. So Automate, we all know it's the behemoth show here in the States. Really anybody that's looking at getting into automation or vaguely interested in robotics, it's kind of the place to be. I think I saw they had like 800 exhibitors, just crazy. But we will absolutely be there. We are there every time. We're going to be at booth 3200, and I believe it's right next to the entrance. So whether they like it or not, people are gonna see us waving at them as they enter the hall each morning.
Beautiful. All right. Well, and I will be one waving and stopping in and shaking your hand, and because I'll be attending the
Fantastic.
event,
Looking forward to
the
it, Joe.
show. Yeah, yeah. So, well, listen, Corey, I really appreciate it. Marty, thank you so much. As always, I love having you as one of my co-hosts here on the show. So, Corey, thank you again, and
Yeah.
we appreciate you taking the time out today.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys, appreciate the opportunity and everything you guys are doing for the industry, and all the advocacy you do for exposure and knowledge to even younger generations. As a young guy that didn't think he was interested in tech, if there were more people doing what you guys do back in the day, my path would have been maybe a little more clear from the outset. So,
Yeah. All right.
so
All right.
thank you
Excellent.
guys.
Thank
All
you
right.
so
Thanks
much.
a bunch. We
Have a good one.
appreciate it.